Welcome to this interactive explainer. Today, we're putting you right in the hot seat. Imagine you've just walked onto the floor of a high-stakes sportsbook trading room. You aren't just a spectator anymore. You're officially a trader in training. Your assignment? Getting ready to price one of the most dynamic, unpredictable events on the calendar, the Tour de Pologne. We're going to analyze race previews, justify betting decisions, and ultimately learn exactly how to set the odds and manage market movements just like the pros do.
Okay, let's dive into this. Right off the bat, why is cycling so much harder to price than football? Think about it. In football, you've got two teams, a set pitch, and a strict 90-minute clock. You know exactly who's playing, and you generally know what to expect. But cycling? Oh, it is a completely different beast. You're dealing with a massive peloton of riders, constantly shifting weather, sudden crashes, and literal mountains to climb. The absolute mystery and high stakes of pricing cycling really come from that sheer volume of chaotic moving parts.
Here's the syllabus for our training module today. We're going to cover the challenge of cycling, mastering the vocabulary, setting the odds, managing trading risk, and finally, allocating the bankroll. It's a logical flow designed to get you completely ready for that trading room floor.
Section 1. The challenge of cycling. Understanding the variables. Before we can set the odds, we really have to understand the fundamental mechanics of the sport. As an odds maker, you have to constantly account for a rider's current form. Are they peaking at the exact right time? Then you've got race dynamics. Is a specific team totally dominating the peloton and controlling the pace? And of course, there are those wild, unpredictable stages. A 90-minute football match happens on a flat, pristine pitch. A cycling stage? It might feature crosswinds, rain-slick descents, sudden mechanical failures, or a peloton having to suddenly swerve around a stray dog. These crazy stage-by-stage variables mean your odds are never, ever static.
So, think about this. Which race is more difficult to predict? The Tour de France, the Tour de Pologne, or the Giro d'Italia? You'd probably assume the Tour de France, right? Mostly because it's the biggest. But actually, shorter, traditionally open races like the Tour de Pologne are notoriously difficult to price. In a 3-week Grand Tour like the Tour de France, the elite favorites are heavily established. But in a 1-week race in Poland, the field is wide open and incredibly punchy. It's basically a giant puzzle for bookmakers trying to pin down a definitive winner.
Section 2. Master the vocabulary. The Oddsmaker's Dictionary. We're moving into a rapid-fire flashcard section now, because to trade cycling, you've got to speak the language of the peloton. First up, the puncheur. You might already know these riders excel on short, steep climbs, but why does a trader care? Because a puncheur's form can violently shift the odds on a lumpy stage. When you see a stage profile with a sudden, steep, uphill finish, you immediately shorten the odds on these explosive riders to protect the book from their late attacks.
Next up, the domestique. We know they sacrifice themselves for the team, fetching water and blocking the wind. But in the trading room, they are an absolutely crucial hidden variable. You aren't pricing domestiques to win, obviously, but their collective strength directly dictates whether the team leader's odds actually offer true value. A favorite without strong domestiques is just a massive trading liability waiting to happen.
Then we have the Queen's stage. We all know this is the brutal summit finish where the general classification is usually definitively decided. Because of that, for a sportsbook, this is where market movements are the most violent and where you can expect the absolute heaviest betting volume. You literally have to have your models dialed in perfectly before the peloton even hits the base of that final climb.
Now, let's talk about the breakaway. A successful breakaway can absolutely wreck a sportsbook's pre-race models. Think of those years where a transitional stage breakaway builds a 20-minute gap just because the peloton fell asleep at the wheel. If an undervalued stage hunter gets that kind of gap, they can accidentally steal the overall lead and completely flip your GC liabilities for the rest of the week. No way around it, they're a huge risk.
Finally, the GC contender. These big names are the riders competing for the overall victory, and they command the heaviest betting volume for the outright market. Your entire pricing strategy revolves around how these top-tier contenders match up against each other across time trials and high mountains. If you misprice the GC favorites, believe me, the sharp bettors will take you to the cleaners before the race even starts.
Section 3. Setting the odds. Inside the trading room. The training wheels are officially off.
And this brilliantly illustrates how a trading team actually balances the book.
You can't just list riders randomly, you have to assign them specific roles. Who's the absolute favorite based on form? Who's the second favorite? Who's the dark horse representing hidden value? Crucially, you need to identify your biggest risk, that liability bomb that could cost the sportsbook a fortune if they pull off an upset. And of course, you must spot the overpriced fan favorite to avoid, someone the public will blindly back despite really poor recent form.
So imagine your manager walks in and says, the Tour de Pologne starts tomorrow, we need to publish our outright winner market. You are completely in the hot seat. You have to speculate about race outcomes and justify your pricing decisions to the team. You need to be ready to say things like, we've priced this GC contender at 4.50 because their form is peaking, but we really need to watch out for this puncher on the early stages. It's all about confidently defending where the value is and where the dangers lie.
Section 4. Managing trading risk. Protecting the sportsbook.
Setting the odds is only half the battle. Managing the live risk is where traders really earn their keep. So when would you suspend betting or shorten a rider's odds? Think back to our variables. Bookmakers expect late changes constantly. If a massive pileup takes out the favorite's key domestiques on stage 2, you suspend betting immediately to stop the bleeding. If the forecast suddenly shifts to heavy crosswinds that heavily favor a specific powerhouse team, you instantly shorten their odds before the market even catches on.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how perfectly it translates cycling analysis into high-stakes business English. Notice the shift in language. When giving opinions on the floor, you don't just guess, you say, the market appears to overvalue this rider, or our pricing reflects their recent summit finish performance. But when things go wrong and you shift to discussing risk, the tone completely changes. You say, we have significant exposure on the dark horse, or the market is volatile right now. And the absolute golden rule of risk management? We'd rather hedge than increase liability. You are always protecting the sportsbook.
Section 5. Allocating the bankroll. Your €100 portfolio.
Let's test your knowledge. So, the crucial point is visualizing how a smart trader diversifies a €100 position. You aren't dumping it all on the overall winner, because as we've learned, Poland is highly unpredictable. Instead, a beautifully balanced allocation puts €40 on the overall winner, €20 on stage 1, €20 on the king of the mountains, specifically for your punchers, and 20 on the best young rider. You are smartly spreading your exposure across different markets rather than risking the whole shebang on one wild, unpredictable outcome. I want to leave you with a final challenge. If you had €100 right now, could you justify the reasoning behind your betting allocations? Take everything we've uncovered today, the sheer chaos, the crucial hidden value of the domestics, the crazy volatility of the queen stage, and the strict strategies for managing exposure. How would you build your book? Think like a trader, respect the chaos of the peloton, and always remember, in cycling, the odds are always in motion.